fingers start touching your body. Just a touch. God has given us healing powers of our own, that we can use. We are anointed for this. When you start feeling yourself getting so far out on those negative thoughts, you start patting yourself. You may have to tap your head a little bit. You may have to pop your head. And listen, this does work. I tell you one thing. If I had not popped my head so many times in 2018, y'all, I would have been totally taken up out of here. My mind would have been so far gone with the anxiety and stuff that, ain't no telling how sick I would have got. But every time I felt myself leaving off in the present focus, I would pop myself on the hand and say, Jamie, that's the devil. I pop myself on the hand and remind myself that everything's going to work out for my good and that God is in control. And sometimes when we get so far out there, when the enemy has pissed us off and we want to do everything and try to handle things with our own hands, what ends up happening is we don't get mad at the enemy like that. We're mad, but we take it out on us. It ends up getting taken out on our health. It ends up causing us to hold on to grudges. It ends up causing you to be bitter. Do you know what bitter feels like? Bitter feels like absolutely heaviness. Bitter feels the way it sounds. It's absolutely heaviness in your heart. It's like you're walking around with something around your neck and you can't even breathe when you're bitter. So let all that stuff go and be reminded of Romans 12:21. Do not be overcome with evil, but overcome evil with good. So stop giving living situations your own ending. If it's a present situation, and I'm not talking about past situations, if it's a situation that's going on right now, this is a new category, by the way. You can write down living situations, present situations. Some people will take the present situation that they're in, instead of responding and showing up for themselves, what they'll do is they'll start talking that negative self-talk and taking negative mental pictures and trying to predict the future. Look, you don't know what's really going to happen. You don't know the true outcome until it actually happens. And some people get stuck right there. This is this is how you can end up with anxiety when you try to take mental pictures of what's going to happen. When you try to foretell the future and you don't have no facts, you don't got no truth with it, but you out here trying to predict what's going to happen, this is how you get your mind upset. It's by doing that. Those self-negative thoughts. You don't need to try to add an ending that's in the present. That's for God to do. God knows the beginning and the ending. If you're going through a situation right now, what you do is you show up and you come with your positive mindset. You come with your spiritual eyes and your spiritual ears, knowing that whatever trials you're going through, that you're going to have patience and you're going to wait on the Lord to answer your prayers. You're going to continue to pray. And guess what? You're not going to stop eating. I'm tired of women stopping eating every time a crisis comes up. I even had to train myself, don't stop eating. In 2013, I stopped eating for 2 years. For 2 years when my daddy died, I stopped eating. In those 2 years, I lived off an Ensure every day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And I barely could get the Ensure down because I was so emotionally damaged. I was hit. My emotions were injured. And I didn't know how to deal with grief because this was the first time that I had to deal with grief without my right-hand man, which was my daddy. And that was my daddy laying there dead. So I didn't know how to get up from that. So I took the route that I thought was the healthiest for me. I held in everything, every emotion I could hold in. I was just ate up with emotions, and I couldn't eat. But I had to train myself. I became closer to God during that time, and I trained myself to get back to eat. I would take little small bites, and then I started adding more to my plate. It would start off with mashed potatoes. Actually, it was a lot of mashed potatoes. I think I was on mashed potatoes, come to think about it, for at least 6 months before I actually before I actually got to where I could eat meat and stuff. But you see, my thing is, I'm trying to tell you, is that when you don't learn how to handle stress and manage stress and emotional bruise and also, emotional feelings, you will get physically sick. And so as a first responder, when you show up for yourself, that's the first thing you want to make sure that you're doing, is that you're eating and that you're sleeping. If you don't do nothing else right in that whole situation, do that, because it's going to keep your brain fed. When you don't sleep, your brain doesn't heal. It needs to heal. That's why you need to sleep. That's why I said 6 to 7 hours rest every night. That's why you're supposed to be in that bedroom by 11 o'clock at night, preparing yourself for a good night's rest. Okay? Do I have any questions so far? Oh, my goodness. Time is really moving. Okay, and so I wanted to give y'all an example of how the subconscious mind and the brain actually works. And I want to use football for an example, because I was watching, I don't know if y'all know that show called The Game, but I was watching it, and I realized that they were saying, the offense and defense, they owned the show today. They fell out with one another. One said, no, you can't train in here. This is where we train in. So I want to tell you, in the game of life, you are playing. It's not playing, but I want you to just imagine some of the things that you're going through in your life and realize that your mind and your thoughts, how you perceive yourself, it is kind of like a game. You've got to know the right moves to make in order to block those negative thoughts, in order to tackle down the things that do not give you life, the things that do not give you peace. And so in this, the offense is your subconscious mind. So the offense tackle, it holds in your mind, in a space in your mind. Keep in mind, your subconscious mind and your brain are both working for you, but they get faulty wiring every now and then. And so the offense is your subconscious mind. And in there, that offense, it wants to keep shooting out things that are blocking you from getting to your goal. And those things that they're shooting out are words from your past, negative seeds that people planted over you, negative things that people told you. And so the offense keeps constantly trying to make it into your everyday present life, reminding you of all that bad stuff, of your rape, people who were raped, people who were molested, people who have eating disorders, people who were beat and traumatized by people that they trusted. You know what I'm saying? Emotional abuse. People who don't get their healing, their subconscious mind is not playing on the same team anymore. Even though they're supposed to be playing on the same team, you got to learn how to shut your subconscious mind down. And that is your defensive tackle, your brain. You have to continue to feed your brain stuff that will help you grow, material. I told y'all, part of this week's assignment was to pick up and read a physical book or a physical magazine. You got to feed your brain in order to have different skills, in order to develop that resilient mindset. You got to constantly grow. And it's not hard as you think it is. It's just hard if you're just not trying it. Yeah, it's going to be hard in the beginning, but guess what? Practice. Show up to practice for your life. Show up to training for your life. Train. Read the Word of God. Read other health books. Learn about yourself. Read different cultures. You have got to use your brain to shut down your subconscious mind when it wants to remind you of how much of a failure you are, because you are not a failure. Where you were back then is not where you are now. You are growing. You have got to feed your brain more than what you've been getting. And it's got to be a different variety of things. Add diversity in your life. Don't be stuck in one-way training, okay? So the defense comes in there, and the defense can only work if you're getting the right amount of sleep so that those cells can rejuvenate, if you're getting the right amount of nutrition in you so that you don't walk around, I bet some of you right now, because you haven't been sleeping and eating right, look at your tongue. You see splits in your tongue? Some people have little cracks in their tongue when they don't get enough zinc, magnesium. Your body will soon tell the story on how you really feel on the inside. So I'm asking you to feed your brain so that your defense shows up to knock down that subconscious stuff, so that you're no longer in bondage, holding on to things that, don't even really matter now. What you worried about earrings that got taken 20 years ago? Yes, they costed a lot of money, but are they worth a heart attack? What are you worried about a man who left you years ago that turned out to be gay? Aren't you glad you're not with him? Look what he did to her. He's still gay, okay? I'm just saying, y'all, that's just an example. But we're in this game, and our mind is playing. And some of the games that the subconscious mind is playing is tricks to try to trick you back into your past. So I want to encourage you to do the right thing, the physical and the mental wellness part, in order to get your resilience, to develop your resilient skill. That's how you get back up, is by doing the right thing. And, of course, your brain ain't used to that. If you've been through any trauma and you are constantly going through trauma back to back, your brain ain't used to doing the right thing. It's used to giving in to that temptation to have that pity party. All right, so let me give y'all the homework. Your homework assignment is culture. I want you to look into your own culture. What are the beliefs, rules, and traditions in your family? Once you establish that and you learn about that, what parts have you outgrown? There's some parts in your family's culture that you just have outgrown. Some things you don't even really believe in, but you only do it because that's what Auntie wants you to do, because that's what Grandpa used to do. What traditions have you outgrown? Another question that I want you to answer, what parts can you change about your culture? What do you really want to be? Where do you see yourself 1 year from now? I don't even want you to look 5 years from now. 1 year from now, where do you want to be? Okay? What parts are you willing to let go of in order to get your healing? If you know that the tradition in your family has been what's been holding you back all this time, well, what part of it is it that you have to let go of in order to walk in your healing? And then I want you to look and think of some of the good parts of your culture. Not all culture is bad. Not all tradition is bad. But I want you to just weigh it out and see kind of where you're at right now in life, in your life. Not your mama's life, not your kid's life, not your family members or your friends' life, or not even your business or co-worker's life, but your life. Where are you at in your life right now? Okay? And in that part, I want you to answer these questions. What part of your culture helps you to grow now? What part of what you know from back then actually helps you to grow? And the other question is, what are the good parts of your tradition? I want you to write out the good parts of your tradition. I don't want you to feel like your whole life was a failure, because it was not. There are some things I actually love that we did as a tradition that I wish we were still doing, you know. So what are some of the good parts of your culture? I meant to say culture. What are the good parts of your culture that you loved? Is it your hair? Is it, some of the food that y'all cook? Is it how you get together?